So gold is on a tear. From last week, it was at 2250. It is now at 2350. That is a massive 1.5% extra in a week. It's up 17% in 2 months. What is going on? So let's go through what the US was planning to do before gold ruined its show. What was it planning to do? It has a huge deficit. It is borrowing $1.1 trillion a year, the US, and it'll be $1.3 trillion a year by the end of this year. Just to service their debt, just on interest payment. They are borrowing $1 trillion every 100 days. It'll be $1 trillion every 90 days by the end of the year. It is awesome amount of money. They have to cut interest rates because they are spending too much on interest. So that's why they said, let's cut interest rates. But why would you? You've got a booming economy, apparently. Apparently, the US has low inflation. It's got a booming economy, GDP. And its unemployment is very, very low. Why would you cut rates? In a booming economy, you want to increase rates in order to stop the economy overheating. So what would be the only reason they want to cut rates? It's because they've got too much interest rate. Like Japan cannot actually increase interest rates even to positive territory. Japan, it's got 260% government debt to GDP. It cannot even have a 0.1% interest rate. It's completely bankrupt. It's gone. So the US is in the same predicament. It has to cut rates because it's spending too much. But gold came and started revealing, oh no, you cannot, because we know it's a fake dollar. And if you cut rates and you stop giving people high interest, your stuff is worthless. It's paper. It's printed paper. People will move into real assets like gold. And stay away from fake Ponzi scheme Venezuelan pesos, which is the US dollar, which are just printed out of thin air. So now, last week, J Powell said, we're not going to cut in June. Everyone was expecting June. We're not cutting in June. And the likelihood is it'll be much less. And Goldman Sachs even said, likely there'll be 0 interest rate cuts this year, which is crazy because everyone was expecting 3 this year. So again, we're still expecting 3 this year. It's just, we'll see. But J Powell definitely put off that it's not going to happen soon because why? Gold is ruining its show. And so we have today, if you could look at CNBC, Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, now wants to speak to China because obviously China is the one pushing for gold to be strong because they are the world's #1 gold producer. They're very happy to have a solid currency and they've had it with America's weaponizing of the dollar, and they're ready to absolutely destroy that fake system. So now Yellen is going to have to suck up to China again because there is no way out. They're in trouble. The only power the US has is this fake dollar. So now let's go through the 3 things that they said they have, which is a strong economy. First is low inflation. We know that's a lie. Look at trueflation. Since 2020 to 2024, the value of the dollar has gone down 25%. Your wages haven't gone up 25%. So therefore, even if a CPI was 0% now, it wouldn't matter. Even 0% it wouldn't matter because inflation is so much higher. Just to catch up for wages, just to catch up with it, it would take a long time. But inflation is still going up and still above the 2% target. And we know it's a fake target anyway because it doesn't include any assets in it. So it's a fake lie, stupid statistic. And everyone knows inflation is way higher and way more painful than it ever was. So that one on the side. Second one, employment. This is the best. They said they added 300,000 extra jobs last month. Oh wow, right? Expected 200,000, they added 300,000. The problem is they've been revising down every single month the amount of jobs added. Meaning, in March for February, they said they added 273,000 jobs. Again, very, very good. They weren't expecting that much. Problem is, that was revised down to 173,000. So, and that happened the month before, and it happened the month before, and every month it happens. And it will happen with this month as well. You watch it. They will do it. So they've been lying on those unemployment statistics, right? And if we break down the 300,000 that they added, half is healthcare, which is Medicaid, Medicare, which is the government, and the other is the actual government. So those are half 150,000 of the 300,000 is essentially government jobs. The other 150,000 will be revised down. How much have you added? Not much. That is the problem. The jobs figure is a lie. I could tell you it's Armageddon out there. I've spoken to HR managers in professional industries. They haven't made any hires in 2 months. In fact, half of their teams have been fired. HR teams, half of them have been fired. It's that bad out there. So please don't give me we've got a booming economy and everyone's queuing up, there's tons of jobs out there. That is a lie. That is an absolute lie. Third one, booming economy, GDP, US, outstanding GDP for 2023, the highest of all the G7, probably in the world, one of the best economies. That is also a lie, and it's simply funded by government spending. Right? Government spending is boosting that number. Printing $1 trillion every 100 days and spending it will allow you to pretend you have high economy. They have about an 8% government deficit. So obviously, when you have an 8% government deficit, you can have a 3% GDP increase. Other countries are doing pretty much the same. So the UK is even worse because it's also doing the government deficit but not having any GDP growth. But that's because the UK is an absolute basket case of an economy. I mean, you can't compare. The UK is literally Venezuela on steroids. It's even worse than Venezuela. At least Venezuela has oil. The UK has nothing. So you can't compare that to the UK. But I'm saying the US is simply the budget deficit spending. So you've got all these three lies that they've pertained. J Powell knows they're a lie, and that's why he wants to cut that interest rates to actually stimulate real economy, the real growth. But he can't do that because he has to protect the dollar against gold, the one asset he cannot fraudulate. So therefore, the US will have to, Janet Yellen will have to speak to China, to Xi, in order to get a deal, in order to crush that gold again, because they cannot have, gold simply reveals the nakedness of the dollar. That's all it does. It shows that the emperor has no clothes. That's all it does. That's all it's ever done in history. And the US isn't ready for it. That's the problem.